It's Friday, December 20, with just days to go until Christmas. Naturally, Foxy Games UK YouTube activity is winding down. It's certainly been a good year for gaming, and I must say a pretty decent year for the channel. Welcome back all Foxy Games UK new and existing subscribers. Now this will likely be the last Foxy Games UK news video of 2019, and it's been a blast. Thank you to everyone who has followed this channel for many seasons, and those perhaps new to the channel, stay tuned, there's a lot in store for 2020. The very last The Gamer Couch podcast of the year airs live right here on Sunday at 5 PM Eastern if you're in the US, or 10 PM if you're in the UK, where we'll discuss the latest in gaming and take a nostalgic look back at gaming in 2019. I'm Fox, your reliable source of aggregated video game news, speculation and rampant rumour. News source links available in the video description when and where applicable. So in today's news, next gen. It appears we just can't get enough of next gen. Well, neither can PlayStationUniverse.com, it would seem, who has reported leading with this headline. PlayStation 5 will either be sold at a significant loss or at a $400 plus price tag. Really? Now, where have we heard this before? No, but seriously, and with respect, I like PlayStationUniverse.com, they do good work, but come on, state the flaming obvious, why don't you? Now, before we get into the report, allow me to preface this, and at the risk of repeating myself, let's say Sony or Microsoft plan to sell and make money from their respective next-gen consoles, say a minimum price point of around $400 to the maximum $500 they can realistically sell it for. Both platform holders would have to really manufacture them for even less, and I can assure you that is not going to be the case. It is almost inevitable both platforms will be sold at a per unit loss. I am informed that the manufacturing cost for Sony's PS5 slightly exceeds $600. One can only really guess what Xbox SX manufacturing costs are. I would imagine roughly the same, given both are similarly matched spec-wise. Now come on, seriously, ask yourself, do you really expect it to cost Sony Interactive Entertainment or Microsoft just $400 for the following: fast Zen 2 CPU, a second gen Navi GPU, ray tracing, 60 plus compute units, rumored, 16GB GDDR6 RAM, 448 gigabits of bandwidth, extremely fast, allowing both consoles really to pump out up to 12 T-flops of compute power. Then there's the NVMe M.2 SSD plus the 2TB hard drive, and that doesn't even factor in the console's unit build. Accessories including controllers, cables, packaging, logistic, taxes. Oh man, this sounds closer to $600, more than $400, doesn't it? I was informed and reported in a few FGUK videos several months back that there was a strong chance that Sony would consider taking a financial hit on each PlayStation 5 unit sold at retail. Now this would only be possible by making major concessions on PS5's price in the short term, relying on services and subscription models to absorb the loss. We could be talking in excess of $100 per unit here, but this time shareholders are unlikely to panic for reasons I shall explain. So I recall Sony losing a ton of money on each PS3 unit sold. Unfortunately for Sony, it didn't have PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus to lean on at the time, whereas at least Microsoft had Xbox Live Gold revenue. So yeah, I am literally just reading this report for the first time as I now relay it to you. PSU.com has reported that the next console generation will indeed be expensive. It'll be expensive for both Sony and Microsoft, and it will also be expensive for the consumer too, not least because the cutting edge technology that both consoles encompass is massively costly, but PS5 and Xbox Series will very much likely be similar to each other in terms of pure technical specification, and perhaps even more than the current gen Xbox One and PS4, but it's chiefly the costly sum of a high-end SSD, powerful GPU/CPU combo, and a GDDR6 memory, which would almost certainly result in a console that would greatly exceed the magic $400 price point that many folks would be more than happy to pay for. Indeed, when speaking about Xbox Series X, Digital Foundry's Richard Ledbetter had this to say. Here's a quote: "The size of this Series X processor represents a significant cost just on its own, and that's before we factor in the other pricey parts such as the solid state storage, the GDDR6 memory, and what is likely to be an innovative and likely costly cooling solution. In fact, simply increasing the size of the box alone increases manufacturing and worldwide shipping costs. Now equally, though Ledbetter feels that the Xbox Series X and by proxy, the PlayStation 5 will cost more than the $400 sweet point, though certainly not as much as recent rumors has suggested. Really, he also believes that both consoles will avoid the death knell $599 price point which provided such poor optics of the PS3 at its launch over a decade ago. He went on to say, "I find it difficult to believe that the Series X will cost less than $500, bearing in mind its build costs, and equally I can't see it costing more, bearing in mind that the PlayStation 3 launch disaster at $600. He's got a point. Now, further confirming the notion that both Sony and Microsoft would be walking the tightrope of either making a loss on each console sold or pricing their offerings at a premium RRP, analyst Daniel Ahmad tweeted, "I'm struggling to see how PS5 and Series X can launch sub $400 given preliminary specs. The CPU and GPU, GDDR6 memory, and the NVMe SSD alone would well be more than above 50% of the build price, and at $400 that is unlikely. It's either taking a heavy loss or priced approximately above $400. So it feels slightly odd to me that they're only just talking about this now. Now, while we have all really been living in cuckoo land, praying and hoping for cheaper price points at retail, having Sony soak up massive losses, especially in the short term, is hardly an ideal scenario. Not least because it would leave the platform holder much less able to invest in new studios and research and development and more besides. Well, after all is said and done, and when it comes down to how much these console platform holders will charge you, well, this is ultimately falling down to the consumer. Would you be willing to pay more than $400 for PS5 or Xbox SX when they launch next year, or would you rather pay less and expect Sony and Microsoft to absorb and compensate for the loss with services? What say you? Go ahead, sound off, share your thoughts and opinions on today's news, because that unfortunately brings us to the end of another video. But let's continue the discussion cordially in the comments, and for all your current and next gen news updates, rumour and rampant speculation, hit the like button, spread the word and keep it locked to Foxy Games UK. Remember, relevant links where applicable can be found in the video's description. Subscribe to Foxy Games UK, remember hit the notification bell when you never miss content, and thumbs up if you like it and help us reach more like-minded gamers simply by sharing the video. Consider supporting Foxy Games UK via Patreon, and or grab yourself a Foxy Games UK branded t-shirt or hoodie, available in various colours and designs. Treat yourself for Christmas. You'll find both links in the video's description. Appreciate the support, and that concludes our time together today. Certainly great hanging out. It's been a fantastic year. Looking forward to the next, particularly these next gen systems and all these wonderful games that will go with them. Until the next video, remember, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Play games, not corporations.